Hey, it's Rachel, and I want to talk about raising dramatic kids. You know, the kids who get hurt, they make a huge deal of it, or they get really angry really fast. They go from 0 to 60 almost unexpectedly, or they just have these big emotions and meltdowns and things happen to them all the time. And, you know, we realize that kids can't act like that all the time, and we worry how it's going to affect their friendships or affect their life. So what we usually do is we say things like, you need to calm down. Or we say things like, life is hard, you just need to get used to it and stop being so dramatic. And that doesn't tend to help. And the reason it doesn't help is because they don't know how to do something different. They are actually responding not disproportionately to the situation, they're responding proportionately to how they feel. They have stronger feelings and they don't know how to cope with these stronger feelings. So just telling them they need to calm down doesn't actually give them the tools to cope. And there are ways you can teach your children tools to cope, but that's another video for another day, because what I want to do now is tell you what you can do about this. Ultimately, getting your child to calm down is not in your control, so I want to focus on things that are in your control. And I have 3 tips for you for what you can do if a child is in the middle of a meltdown. The first thing you want to understand is what's going on for them, what's happening in their brain, so that you know how to handle it effectively. So really what's happening when a child is in the middle of a big emotion is that an emotion follows sort of a rainbow-shaped curve. So a child may start off upset, and then when they realize that nothing is going to go their way, or we're not giving in, or whatever it is that upset them, the feeling is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's going to reach a peak, and that's really where you see all of these emotions and these behaviors when they're really in it. But eventually it does come down. They don't stay stuck in this forever. And what you want to think about is once they are on that curve, there's not that much you can do to make it better. There's a lot you can do to make it worse, because ultimately when they're in that place, their brains are scanning the environment to see, is it safe out there? Can I calm down? Is everything going to be okay? If we're yelling at them, if we're telling them all the reasons their behavior is wrong and they need to calm down, that actually just upsets them more. There's not that much you can do in the moment except to recognize, hey, they're on the curve. Now, what you've probably realized if you're raising a dramatic child is that once they leave or exit the curve, they actually return to their normal, more calm, more loving, more rational self, right? So just remember they're on the curve. There's not that much you can do. So what do you actually do in that moment? That's the second tip I have for you, which is you don't want to over-identify with their emotions and you don't want to under-identify with their emotions. What I mean by that is usually if a child is acting dramatic, we over-identify, and that's where we say, you can't act like this. Like we get sucked in. They have big emotions. We get sucked into their big emotions. You don't want to do that, but you also don't want to shut down and minimize how they feel. You don't want to say something like, oh my gosh, you're going to be fine. Get over it. Because all that happens in their brain is that they get more upset because they feel like you don't understand. So what you do instead is you just observe. And you don't want to do a lot of talking because, like I said, they can't hear very much when they're on that curve of yuck. All you can do is just observe what they're going through. So you may say something like, wow, that looked like it hurt. Or, you know, your brother just took something from you. Whatever is going on for them, just observe and then honestly just zip your lips because there's not that much you can do about it. So you're understanding the curve. You're not over-identifying or under-identifying. You're just observing. And the third thing that you want to do is actually after you've said your statement and zipped your lips, focus on yourself. Focus on regulating yourself and staying calm and in control. Because again, there's not that much you can do to control your child, but what you can control is yourself. And what you want to do is be a model of what it looks like to stay calm even when things aren't going the way you want them to around you. Ironically, that's what we're asking our children to do, to stay calm when things aren't going their way. That's what you want to be a model of. So focus not on what they're doing, not on their meltdown. Focus on yourself and staying calm. And ultimately, you staying calm is not only going to be a great model for them, but really it helps them calm down because when we are calm, we are much more of a symbol of safety and security, and that can tell their big emotional response that everything's okay and they can calm down. So being aware of what these big emotions are and how to handle it and really focusing on yourself can actually help your child in the long run, and it's something that you can control. So if you need help regulating your emotions, or if you want help teaching your child how to regulate their emotions, feel free to reach out to me at rachel@rachel-bailey.com. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.